We are now going to start off with a normal error regression model. The reason why we call it like this is because of the error terms. The epsilon I over here, they are the error terms and they are independently normally distributed with an expected value of 0 and a variance of sigma squared. It's very important to note that the error term is not the same thing as the residuals. We'll get to that a little bit later on. Now, apart from that, we also have the two parameters there, the beta 0 for the intercept and the parameter for the slope, the beta 1, and then we have the response variable as well as the independent or the explanatory variable. Very often they also call this the predictor variable. Now, to summarize once again about the error term, this random variable over here, there you can see the expected value is going to be equal to 0, the variance is equal to sigma squared, and the covariance is equal to 0. If the covariance is equal to 0, we know that they are independently distributed. Now on the next slide, so there you can see the response y. So if we go a little bit back, so that first part over there, that's going to be the constant term, and this epsilon I is going to be the random term. Now first of all, if we look at the expected value of yi, we know that the expected value of a sum is the sum of the expected values. Alright, and the expected value of the error term is equal to 0. So we now know that the expected value of yi is simply beta 0 plus beta 1 xi. So that's the expected value. If we get to the variance of yi is equal to sigma squared. To derive that is quite easy. The variance of, there's the formulation of the yi. We know that the variance of a constant is always equal to 0. So the variance of this whole term over here is simply the same as the variance of the epsilon I, and therefore we know that's the basic assumption of the model, that the variance of the epsilon I is equal to sigma squared. Alright, so to summarize then, the response variable yi, well, all those yi's will be independently normally distributed with the expected value of beta 0 plus beta 1 xi, and the variance is equal to sigma squared. Right, now first of all, let's see if we can derive the least squares estimators. Now in this formulation over here, you will note that we've got two parameters that we need to estimate. Now, the way how we are going to do this is we are going to minimize the distances from the observed to the model. Right, so there we've got the model. So yi minus, and this part over here is going to be beta 0 plus beta 1 xi. So we subtract the model there. So we would like to see for which values for beta 0 and beta 1 are those distances going to be minimized. Now in order to make sure that they don't cancel each other out, we are going to work with the sum of the squared deviations over there, and now we can start off by determining where we are going to minimize the quadratic function q for which values of beta 0 as well as for beta 1. So the first step is we would like to know where the partial derivative is going to be equal to 0. So typically, if you think back what you've learned previously, we are simply going to calculate the so-called critical values over here. So if we take the partial derivative with respect to beta 0, we are now going to keep beta 1 constant. We know that the partial derivative of the sum is the sum of the partial derivatives. And now for this part over here, we can now simply use the chain rule. So if we use the chain rule, the 2 is, we are going to bring it forward, all right, and then we're going to write down what's in brackets, and so the 2 minus 1, so we actually have a 1 over there, and according to the chain rule, we now have to take what's inside the brackets, take the partial derivative with respect to beta 0, and then if we do that, it's going to be a minus. So that's why we also have this minus over there. Alright, so that's the partial derivative with respect to the beta 0. Then the partial derivative with respect to the beta 1 is exactly the same thing, but if we apply the chain rule part, and we take the partial derivative what's inside here, and we take the partial derivative with respect to the beta 1, we are going to have a negative xi. So that's why we have this negative xi over here. And remember, the 2 is simply, if we take the derivative of that whole, we can call it the so-called brackets over there. Alright, so after we've calculated the partial derivative, we can now set them equal to 0, like this. And what you must realize over here is suddenly the beta 0 and the beta 1 will now be equal to a b0 and a b1. And those two are going to be the least square estimators. Alright, so as soon as you set it equal to 0, the notation is going to change over here. Alright, so there we've just used our sigma rules and simplified the previous equation a little bit, alright, to get those two equations over here. And now if we reorganize those terms, you will see that we are now going to get what we call the so-called normal equations. We are also going to formulate them in terms of matrix notation, but this is the simplest form that you can write the normal equations in. Okay, now if you look at these two equations, it's quite straightforward to see that B0, the least square estimator for the intercept, can be written as y bar minus B1 x bar. Okay. So that you simply get from this equation over here, and also by dividing by n. So you can write it out if it's not clear to you. Now on the next slide, there you can see we now need to solve for B1 as well. So what we are going to do here is simply we are going to take the first equation there, the 1.2, and we are going to multiply it with a 1 over n, the sum of xi. The reason why we are going to do that is now those two terms are going to cancel out. So we want to solve for b1, so we actually want to get rid of the b0. So by subtracting, so if I say 1.4, or rather 1.5 minus 1.4, we are going to get this expression over here. And if we make use of the distributive law, we can take out the b1 and get these two equations over here. They are exactly the same thing, but it's important that you should understand both of those two equations. You will note that this is more in a, they call it the definition type of formulation, and this is the calculation formulas. So please make sure if you do not understand how those two formulations are exactly the same, write out this term over here in the numerator, simplify it, and make sure that you get this one on the left hand side over here. The same thing applies for this one over here. Write this whole expression, the sum of the squared deviations, and please make sure that you understand why it's the same as this one. It's the regression books are full of these type of equations, and it's important that you should understand why both of these two formulations are exactly the same thing. Right, now let's have a look at a very simple example. You can try this on your own as well. So say for instance we've got 5 observations, 5 months, and we would like to investigate the relationship between advertising and sales. Now the more we advertise, so as X is going to increase, we expect that our sales are also going to increase. It's also always very important to have a look at your units. So the advertising in this case is going to be in thousands of rands, and the sales is going to be in 10,000 of rands. So if we want to calculate the estimated regression function, we are going to make use of least square estimation. and for that we need to know what's the averages of X as well as Y. And here we've just drawn up a table with all our calculations. You can just go and check that, and from that we can just substitute. First of all, we need to calculate all the values for the slope. So there it is, it's equal to 0.7, and then there's the basic the definition formulation, and here we also have the calculation formulation. Right, so if we've got a value of 0.7 there, we have to multiply that with 10,000. So if we do that, we know that for every increase of 1,000 in advertising expenditure, we know that our sales are going to increase with 7,000 Rand. So that's the relationship between the two. Right, so there we've got the intercept. The intercept in this case is equal to minus 0.1, and this is actually also a predicted value. And it's the predicted value if X is equal to 0. And in this case, you will see that it doesn't really make sense, because if we advertise or if we do not advertise, it means that the estimated sales is going to be equal to a negative value, minus 1,000 Rand. So the important point that we have to make is, if you do work with regression and you are going to estimate values, it's always important that you should make sure, is it possible to extrapolate for those particular values. So in this case, it clearly doesn't make sense, but from a theoretical point of view, that is going to be the interpretation of the intercept. Thank you.